Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport was one of the busiest airports in the United States. On any given Tuesday morning, Terminal 4 would process over 15,000 passengers through security. Business travelers with rolling suitcases and laptops, families with strollers and crying babies, spring breakers in flip-flops carrying beach bags, all of them funneling through the same narrow checkpoint, all of them subject to the same rules. Shoes off, belt off, laptops out, liquids in clear bags. No exceptions. The TSA agents who worked that checkpoint had seen everything. Forgotten knives in carry-ons, bottles of water people swore they just bought, arguments over what constituted a liquid. They developed thick skins. Had to, because when you're processing 1,000 people an hour, you can't afford to be soft. You enforce the rules. You move the line. You keep people safe. Even when they complain, even when they yell, especially when they yell. Agent Marcus Chen had been working TSA for 8 years. He was good at his job, efficient, by the book. He didn't make exceptions, didn't care if you were late for your flight, didn't care if you were a frequent flyer or a first-timer. Rules were rules. And in his line of work, those rules kept planes in the air and terrorists on the ground. It was 9:47 a.m. when an old man approached the metal detector. He was tall, maybe 6'1", but age had bent him slightly forward. He looked to be in his mid to late 70s. White hair, thinning on top, deeply lined face. He wore khaki pants, a navy blue polo shirt, and old brown leather shoes that had been polished so many times the leather was starting to crack. He carried a single small duffel bag. No rolling suitcase, no laptop case, just the duffel. He placed it on the conveyor belt, removed his shoes, placed them in a bin. His wallet and keys went into another bin. Then he stepped toward the metal detector. Marcus gestured him forward. "Step through, sir." The old man walked through. The detector beeped. Loud, insistent. Marcus held up a hand. "Sir, step back. Try again. Did you remove everything metal? Belt? Watch?" The old man looked down at himself. No belt, no watch. "Okay, step through again." The old man did. Same result. Beep. Marcus sighed. "Sir, I'm going to need you to step aside for additional screening." The old man nodded. No argument, just compliance. He moved to the side area, a small roped-off section where passengers who triggered the detector got secondary screening. Marcus approached with a handheld metal detector wand. "Sir, I'm going to scan you. Please stand with your arms out to the sides." The old man raised his arms, slowly, like it hurt. Marcus waved the wand over his body. It beeped at his right knee. Loud. "Sir, what's in your knee?" "Titanium rod. Shattered it in 1971. Marcus made a note on his clipboard. Waved the wand again. It beeped at his left shoulder, then his lower back. "Sir, you've got a lot of metal in your body." 3 tours. Things break. Marcus paused, looked at the old man's face. Something in his tone. 3 tours. That meant military. "Sir, are you a veteran?" "Yes." Marcus softened slightly. "Thank you for your service, but I still need to do a pat-down. TSA protocol, you understand." The old man nodded. "I understand." Marcus called over a supervisor. Standard procedure for pat-downs. The supervisor, a woman named Janet Torres, approached. She'd been with TSA for 12 years. Seen everything twice. "What do we have?" she asked. "Multiple metal implants. Surgical. Says he's a veteran. Need to do a full pat-down." Janet looked at the old man. "Sir, we're going to need you to come with us to a private screening room." The old man's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Not fear, not anger, just wariness. Like he'd been through this before and knew what was coming. He followed them to a small room off to the side. Windowless, fluorescent lights, a table, 2 chairs. It looked like an interrogation room. Janet closed the door. "Sir, I'm going to need you to remove your shirt." The old man hesitated. "Is that necessary?" "Sir, you triggered the detector in multiple locations. We need to visually confirm what's causing the alarms." It's protocol. The old man's jaw tightened, but he complied, slowly unbuttoned his polo shirt, removed it, draped it over a chair. And that's when everything changed. His torso was a road map of scars. Surgical scars. Long, pale lines across his chest, across his abdomen, across his right side. And on his left shoulder, a puckered mass of scar tissue that looked like it had been burned. Marcus stared. Janet stared. The old man stood there, silent, letting them look. Because what else could he do? Janet's voice was quieter now. Sir, what happened to you? Helicopter crash, Vietnam. 1,971. Broke 17 bones. Third-degree burns on my shoulder and back. Took 11 surgeries to put me back together. Marcus felt something twist in his chest. This wasn't just a veteran. This was someone who'd been to hell and barely made it back. Sir, do you have documentation? Medical records? Anything that confirms the implants? The old man reached for his duffel bag, pulled out a leather wallet, opened it, and handed Marcus a card. It was a military ID, retired. But not just any military ID. At the top, in bold letters, it said, United States Special Operations Command. Marcus looked at the name, Colonel James R. Sullivan, read, and beneath the name, in smaller text, Delta Force. Marcus's hands started shaking. He looked up at the old man. Sir, you're Delta? Colonel Sullivan nodded. Was. Janet looked over Marcus's shoulder, saw the ID. Her eyes widened. Oh my God! Marcus flipped the ID over, and on the back, there was a small notation, a code. Something he'd been trained to recognize, but had never actually seen. 1,971. Medal of Honor. Marcus dropped the ID, literally dropped it. It clattered onto the table. He stepped back, came to attention, rendered a sharp salute. Sir, I apologize. I didn't know. Janet followed suit, saluted. Colonel, we're so sorry. Sullivan picked up his ID, put it back in his wallet. You were doing your job. No apology necessary. Sir, please, let me get my supervisor. The airport director needs to know you're here. That's not necessary. But Marcus was already on his radio. This is Agent Chen at Checkpoint 3. I need the airport director. Immediately. Tell him we have a Medal of Honor recipient, Delta Force. Repeat, Medal of Honor, Delta Force. Within 3 minutes, the door opened. A man in a suit walked in. He was in his 50s, gray hair, serious expression. His name tag read, David Richardson, airport director. He looked at Sullivan, then at the ID Marcus handed him. His face went pale. Colonel Sullivan, sir, I am deeply sorry for the inconvenience. If I had known, Sullivan waved a hand. You didn't, it's fine. Sir, it's not fine. You're a national hero, and we just subjected you to a pat-down like a common criminal. I'm not a hero, I'm a passenger, and your agents were doing their job. Doing it well, I might add. Richardson turned to Marcus and Janet. Get the colonel's belongings. Now, and escort him to the VIP lounge. Immediately. Marcus rushed out. Returned with a duffel bag, shoes, wallet, and keys. Sullivan started to put his shirt back on, but Richardson stopped him. Sir, before you go, may I ask, where are you flying today? San Diego. My grandson's graduating from Navy SEAL training, but S. I promised I'd be there. Richardson's eyes widened. Your grandson's becoming a SEAL? Following the family tradition, his father was Army Rangers, I was Delta. The kid wanted to one-up us both. Richardson smiled, pulled out his phone, made a call. This is Richardson. I need you to pull up a reservation. Sullivan, James, flying to San Diego this morning. What class is he in? A pause. Economy. Okay. Upgrade him. First class. No charge. And comp his ticket. Full refund. Another pause. I don't care about policy. This is a Medal of Honor recipient. Make it happen. He hung up, looked at Sullivan. Sir, you're flying first class, and your ticket is comped. Consider it a small token of our gratitude. Sullivan shook his head. That's not necessary. I can pay. Sir, With all due respect, you've already paid. More than any of us ever will. Let us do this." Sullivan looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. "Thank you." Richardson escorted him out of the screening room personally. As they walked through the checkpoint, passengers started noticing the airport director himself, walking with an old man, carrying his bag. They reached the VIP lounge, a quiet space away from the main terminal. Leather chairs, complimentary food and drinks. Richardson opened the door. "Sir, please, make yourself comfortable. Your flight doesn't leave for another hour and a half. Anything you need, just ask the staff. And when it's time to board, they will escort you directly to the plane." Sullivan stepped inside, set his back down, turned to Richardson. "Mr. Richardson, I appreciate this, but I need you to know something. Your agents did nothing wrong. They followed protocol. They were professional. Don't punish them for doing their job." Richardson nodded. "Understood, sir. But I am going to make sure they know who you are, what you've done, because I think they need to hear it." Back at the checkpoint, Richardson gathered Marcus and Janet, along with the other 6 TSA agents working that shift. "I want you all to know something. The man we just screened, that was Colonel James Sullivan, Medal of Honor recipient, Delta Force. In 1971, he led a rescue mission in Vietnam. His team was sent to extract 12 POWs from a camp near the Laotian border. They got in clean, got the POWs out. But on the way to the extraction point, they were ambushed. Colonel Sullivan's helicopter was hit by an RPG. It went down. 17 men on board. The helicopter caught fire. The agents were silent, listening." Richardson continued. "Colonel Sullivan pulled 11 men out of that burning wreck, dragged them to cover, then went back for the 12th, the pilot, who was trapped. Sullivan pulled him out as the helicopter exploded. He suffered third-degree burns, broke 17 bones, but he got everyone out, all 12 POWs, all 16 men from his team. Everyone survived. Because of him," Janet's eyes filled with tears, "and we made him take off his shirt." Richardson shook his head. "You did your job. He understood that. But I'm telling you this so you remember, so all of you remember. Most of the time, the people going through this checkpoint are just people, travelers. But sometimes, you'll screen someone who's given more for this country than you can imagine. And you'll never know, unless you ask, unless you look closer, unless you see the scars and the ID and realize you're standing in front of a living legend." He paused. "Colonel Sullivan didn't want special treatment, didn't ask for it, but we gave it to him anyway, because that's what we should do, for the people who've earned it. Remember that." An hour later, Sullivan's flight was called. A staff member from the VIP lounge escorted him to the gate, not through the main concourse, through a private hallway. When they reached the gate agent was waiting. "Colonel Sullivan, we're ready to board you now. First class, C2A." Sullivan walked down the jetway, stepped onto the plane. The flight attendant greeted him with a smile. "Colonel, welcome aboard. Your seat is right here. Can I get you anything before we take off?" "Just water. Thank you." She brought him a bottle, then leaned in slightly. "Sir, the captain would like to meet you, if you are comfortable with that." Sullivan nodded. A moment later, the captain emerged from the cockpit. He was in his 40s, fit, military bearing. He extended his hand. "Colonel Sullivan, I'm Captain Rob Hayes. I wanted to thank you personally. I'm former Air Force. Did 2 tours in Afghanistan. And I just want you to know it's an honor to have you on my plane." Sullivan shook his hand. "Thank you, Captain. Safe flight." "Always, sir." As the plane filled up, other passengers noticed the captain talking to the old man in 2A, noticed the flight attendant treating him differently, and slowly, word spread. A Medal of Honor recipient. On this flight, when the plane was fully boarded, Captain Hayes came back on the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. Before we push back, I want to take a moment to recognize someone on this flight. We have with us today Colonel James Sullivan, United States Army, retired. Colonel Sullivan is a recipient of the Medal of Honor for his actions in Vietnam in 1971. He saved the lives of 27 men, and today he's flying to San Diego to watch his grandson graduate from Navy SEAL training." The plane erupted in applause. Every passenger, every flight attendant, Standing ovation. Sullivan, sitting in 2A, felt his throat tighten. He waved slightly, nodded, but didn't stand, because he'd never been comfortable with recognition. Never sought it, never wanted it. The flight was smooth, 2 hours. Sullivan spent most of it looking out the window, thinking about his grandson, about the legacy, about the fact that another generation was stepping up to serve. When they landed in San Diego, Captain Hayes made another announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, we've arrived in San Diego. But before anyone deplanes, we're going to ask that you remain seated for just a moment. Colonel Sullivan needs to make a connection, and we want to make sure he's able to deplane first. The passengers stay seated, and as Sullivan walked down the aisle carrying his duffel, every single person stood, applauded. Some saluted, some just nodded with respect. An elderly woman in row 12 reached out, touched his arm. Thank you. My son served in Iraq. He came home because of men like you. Sullivan nodded. He came home because he was brave, not because of me. When he stepped off the plane, a Navy officer was waiting. Lieutenant Commander, full dress uniform. Colonel Sullivan, I'm Lieutenant Commander Price. I've been asked to escort you to the BUD as graduation ceremony. Your grandson, Petty Officer 3rd Class Ryan Sullivan, requested that you be given full honors. Sullivan smiled. That kid. They drove to the Naval Amphibious Base Coronado, to the grinder where BUD as graduations were held. Sullivan was escorted to the front row, VIP seating, normally reserved for admirals and senior commanders. But today, it was reserved for him. When the ceremony began, the commanding officer stepped to the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, I want to recognize someone in our audience. Colonel James Sullivan, U.S. Army Delta Force, retired, Medal of Honor recipient. Colonel Sullivan is here today to watch his grandson, Petty Officer Ryan Sullivan, graduate. Colonel, would you please stand? Sullivan stood. The entire base came to attention. Every SEAL instructor, every officer, every graduate, and they saluted. Ryan, standing in formation with his class, had tears streaming down his face because his grandfather, his hero, was there, and the entire Navy was honoring him. After the ceremony, Ryan ran to him, hugged him. Grandpa, you made it. Wouldn't have missed it for the world, kid. Did they treat you okay at the airport? Sullivan smiled. They treated me just fine. Because sometimes, in a world that moves fast and forgets easily, someone remembers. Someone looks closer. Someone sees the scars and the ID and realizes that the old man in economy isn't just a passenger. He's a hero. And he deserves first class every single time.